Ethreain The Lich was the first hero I played in Dota 2 7 years ago. It was because I had a group of friends at the time playing Dota, and they needed a fifth to be a support slave. All I did was buying courier, buying wards, running around in circles for about half a year, before I had had enough and started playing on my own. And that's when I finally started to enjoy the game, finding my true role as position 1. Even though I haven't played support willingly since, I always now look back on my time with Lich with fondness. Such a cool hero and lore-wise, extremely powerful. But without further ado, let's get into his lore. In life, the frost-mage Ethreain, not yet the Lich, had used the threat of destructive ice to enslave entire kingdoms. His subjects, aided by a few desperate magicians, eventually grew bold enough to ambush him. Armed with enough charmed rope to bind him forever, they tied the frost-mage to adamant weights and dropped him in a pool known chiefly for being bottomless. It wasn't. He only fell for a year or so before an outcrop snagged him. There he rested, dead but undecaying, until the geomancer Anhil thought to verify the legend of the supposedly bottomless black pool. Anhil's plumbline snarled with the ropes that bound the drowned magician, and up he hauled an unexpected prize. Thinking that by rendering the dead undead, he could question the Lich about the properties of the pool, he removed the bindings and commenced a simple rite of resurrection. Even the descendants of Ethreain's enemies were long forgotten by time, so there were none to warn Anhil against imprudence. But he learned the error of his judgment almost immediately, as Lich threw off the shackles and consumed him. So I hate to break your immersion and consistency of the lore, but there's one tiny detail that really bothers me. It was my boy Thunderman who first pointed it out that if Lich fell for a year, then the geomancer fishing him up would also have to take at least a year. So that's just a tiny little annoying thing. But anyways. Lich's lore tells a tale about the frost-mage who got so powerful that some magicians has to bind him and throw him down into the legendary bottomless black pool. He fell for a year before getting snagged on an outcrop, until much later when a geomancer who wanted to test the depths of the pool fished him up. He wanted to ask Lich about the pool, so he resurrected the dead frost-mage. As soon as Lich awoke, he immediately consumed the poor unsuspecting geomancer, and thus the terror of Ethreain was set upon the world once again. From Artifact's lore, we learn just how evil Lich is.
Could I simply cast out a wave of frost? Certainly. But flash freezing your enemies isn't nearly as satisfying as watching them panic before their impending death. Opportunity calls to me in Roseleaf. Lion flees to Weeping Rose, and will undoubtedly be looking for allies to aid him. The Vul are losing their battle against the Bronze Legion, and are willing to do anything for victory. And the Crystal Maiden of Ice Rack happens to be on holiday. It is truly an embarrassment of riches. The only lingering question is who should I kill first?
One thing I really love about Dota lore is that there's so many biblical references. If you want to know more about that, I have a whole Dota theology video in the top right corner. Lich has a voice on that says,
"And so the dead will bury the dead,"
which is a reference from the Bible where Jesus said, "Let the dead bury the dead," in response to a disciple who wanted to bury his father before committing himself to the Lord. And because that made no sense to me, I found someone on Quora to explain. What did he mean by this? Jesus wasn't saying that people who are physically dead should bury other dead people. As you say, that wouldn't make sense. Instead, he was speaking of those who were spiritually dead, those who were alive physically but dead towards God in their souls. We may be very strong and healthy physically, and yet be spiritually dead, which is far more serious. Lich actually has a surprising amount of relationships. One would think that such an evil and sinister character didn't have any allies, but he has a few. Although Lich himself doesn't have any voice lines for other heroes whatsoever. Here's allies meeting him.
"We will bring a storm of ice and flame upon them. Lich, you freeze them, and I'll shatter their bones."
"You freeze them, and I'll burn them down."
And a selected few enemies killing Lich.
"Lich, your ice is weak."
Such an old grouch. You'd think all that ice would make him nice.
Lich, your dedication to death endears you to me.
Cold made you hard, but ice made you brittle.
I'm the Juggernaut, Lich.
And they call me cold-hearted.
Even you should come in from the cold once in a while.
Now I'm the #1.
And that sums up the lore of Lich. Since Christmas is near, my next video will be about Winter Wyvern, and thus we will have covered all the ice-themed heroes. But until next time, peace.